Everybody, it's your girl ATLn Christy back with another one, and today we're going to be talking about United States Postal Service Supervisor, EAS positions, 204Bs, and detail workers. What is the difference? Well, let's go ahead and jump in. The following video does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the United States Postal Service. ATLn Christy is an employee of the USPS, and this video represents her opinions, views, and thoughts. The information shared in this video was not obtained from any paid instruction by the USPS. All information gained is from personal experience and research conducted outside of work hours. The information shared in this video does not guarantee you the results that you seek. ATLn Christy makes no guarantees about any information shared, but pledges to try and provide accurate information at all times. Individual results will vary. So let's go ahead and talk about the difference between EAS versus craft. Now, EAS is any employee that is a member of the management team at the United States Postal Service. And this can also include headquarter employees. So that would be like your supervisor, your immediate supervisor, your managers, headquarter employees, and such. And then also people that don't serve in supervisory roles. Craft employees, of course, are those like our carriers, our mail handlers, our clerks, and etc., maintenance employees. So EAS is not represented by a collective bargaining unit, but they do have a union. The work done by EAS management staff is done under a Form 50. The work done by a craft employee is also done by a Form 50 in a craft position. However, when they're working in an EAS position, what is called a higher level detail work, the craft employee works under a Form 1723. This is a temporary placement into a position, and what is known as a detail position. So you can work in a detail position in a supervisory role, and you can also work in a detail position in a non-supervisory role. But the craft employee is represented by a collective bargaining agreement, and that would be like the NOC, the APWU, the Mail Handlers Union. So now let's go ahead and move on. So what you see on your screen now, on the left, we have the Form 50, and everyone works in a Form 50, and that just shows what position you're working in for the United States Postal Service. So if you are a building equipment mechanic, then your Form 50 is going to state such. If you are working as a supervisor in a Form 50 role, then of course it would show that as well. And you can find the Form 50 on yourself. If you go to light blue and you go to your EOPF file, I believe it's what it's called, your personnel folder, you can see your Form 50 in there. Now over to the right, we have the 1723. This is what will be given to you by either your management staff or the management staff in the role that you will go and detail into. So regardless if you're working as a supervisor over some other employees, or if you're just working in a non-supervisor capacity, you still will have a 1723 if you're a craft employee and you're detailing. And this, if you'll look at this, it tells you when your detail will begin, when it will end. And these details can go from anywhere from 30 to 180 days. I think generally they go from 30 to 120 days, but they can be up to 180. But you will be given a copy of that if you are accepted to work into a 1723 detail. So let's go over some of the characteristics of a supervisor or a 204B. So a 204B is a higher level detail role. They're working in a role of a supervisor that is a level 17. They are considered a supervisor on a 1723, yet still a craft employee. So employee is still a Form 50 craft employee. You must know that. The work that they're doing as a 204B is performed under a Form 1723. 1723 is what is used for any detail work, and detail work can also be Like, let's say you are a maintenance mechanic, you're a level 7 employee, and you are detailing over a higher level position as maybe a mail processing equipment mechanic, which is a level 9. So, or you're doing work, your boss asks you to do some work on a machine, that work is performed by a higher level, and so they may pay you at that higher level. So you can detail in a non-supervisor, non-EAS role as well. So the 1723 is just something that, is used, terminology in a form that is used to show that you are working outside of your regular capacity, your Form 50 capacity. All right, so a 204B is still a detail which supervises craft employees. It is different than an EAS that's working on a 1723. So if you're in management, you're not considered a 204B. 204B is just a term that is used to describe a person that is a supervisor. All right, so a 204B tail lasts anywhere from 30 days to multiple years. I know people that are working as a 204B and have been doing so for like 6 or 7 years. So although a 1723 must be updated and extended for an employee to work beyond 120 days, sometimes 180 days, a 204B must step down from their supervisory role in order to save their craft bid. So what this means is that if you are working and you've got Monday and Tuesday off, or let's just say you've got Saturday, Sunday off, and let's say you're working on tour 2, so you're coming in day hours. So you've got a really coveted position, you've got a really coveted schedule with your days off. Now, if you go and you start working as a 204B or in any higher level detail role, and you don't step down for 2 weeks, which is a pay period, then after 120 days, if you don't step down, you could lose your bid. And what that would mean was, so you could stay up and work longer than 120 days without stepping down, but someone could file a complaint against it, they could file a grievance, and you could lose your bid, which means if you stopped working in that detail and you went back to your position, you would just get whatever shift, is available, whatever days off are available. You would still be guaranteed your position. You could go back to your position, but you don't know what days off you have. You don't know what tour you're going to be working. So you definitely want to make sure when you're stepping up into a 204B position or into an EAS management role position that you always step down before 120 days so you don't lose your bid. All right, so while working as a 204B, the employee is not allowed to perform work in their own craft position or any other craft position, period. That's a no-no. Now let's talk about some of the different examples of roles that you can work in as a 204B supervisor. So some of the ones that I just went to eCareer and found these. So there's the supervisor of maintenance operations, SMO, the supervisor of logistics operations, SLO, supervisor of distribution operations, SDO, and so on. So these are some of the different roles that you could possibly work in. I'm sure there's more than these, but this is just a few. So the EAS detail management role is very similar to that of the supervisor 204B role, in that the EAS detail management role, they must step down from their position in order to save their craft bid. And this must be done before 120 days or at 120 days. So if you go beyond 120 days in a detail role, you definitely can lose your position, like your bid. You won't lose your position, I shouldn't say that, but you could lose like your days off and the tour that you work. And that would mean, so if you stopped working in your detail, you didn't step down after, or by 120 days, then you could be placed on, let's say you've got tour 2, which is coming in during the day, you have Saturday and Sunday off, and now all of a sudden, because you didn't step down by 120 days, they could put you on tour 1 or tour 3. they would put you on days off, like maybe, Thursday, Friday off, or something else, that you didn't want. So if you want to keep, your bid, make sure that you're stepping down by 120 days. And most of the managers that place you in a detail role, they're going to make sure that you step down within your 120-day period. And like the supervisor and 204B role, these details go from about 30 days, minimum of 30 days, up to 120 days. The only difference between this position really and the 204B is that they don't supervise employees. They are just strictly in a management capacity. Now, for some examples of detail management roles, you'll find positions on eCareer such as logistics support specialist, processing support specialist, customer relations coordinator, safety specialist, network specialist. Specialist seems to be kind of the terminology that they use, and also coordinator. But I'm going to be putting out more videos on this, guys, that will help you a little bit more how to get these details offered to you. Also, how to ready yourself for applying to these positions, where to find these jobs, how to put your KSAs together. I'm going to be going over how to interview for these positions, in both the detail capacity and for a Form 50 capacity. I'm going to be covering all of it. So you don't want to miss out on any of these videos. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And I'll see you guys in the next video.